Okay, welcome to our podcast today. And today we have got a great esteemed guest with us. It's Roma Balwani, and she has been a co-founder in RB Association, and where she is helping leadership roles and mentors them, and she's also an independent director. Now, one thing while we were conversing with each other, she mentioned that she became an independent director while she was working in an organization. So that's a real amazing achievement for all of us as a woman and as an entrepreneur and helping and mentoring people. Welcome, Roma, to this podcast, and it's a real pleasure to have you on this show.
Thank you for having me here.
Thank you so much. Now, coming to this interaction with you, and I wanted to understand that what do you think today the leadership roles are being defined by people, and how they are able to foster that kind of mentorship for them, and what is that you think you can add value to them as a leader?
I think my experience has been that there are young leaders, there are experienced leaders. This combination works very well even on the board, because now we should be inducting more young leaders, more young women leaders, more young men. I think both are going to bring a fresh perspective. Now they come with that background of understanding what are the issues in the planet, what is it that they should be addressing in terms of social issues. So I think they are very savvy about it. Our experience has been that we have seen generations now really transforming organizations to become purpose-driven organizations. They need to see it in a very different format, because they see what's in it for themselves, how can they contribute to a larger purpose, and I think that is a very refreshing trend that I'm seeing. Now they also get a lot of exposure. They are mentored, and when they are mentored, they learn more beyond the business that they are involved in, or the business that their generations before were involved with. I think these are the new ways of transformation that we at RB Foundation are trying to help and create that balance between business, growth and social impact.
So nice, so nice. It is really so much relevant for the current time. I also wanted to understand that being also an independent director, there has always been a situation, like I think you also would have experienced. People are in the boards from the family itself. The family actually runs the board. So how do you think that the synergies can be built in by these leaders so that they can address the issues of the stakeholders, the governments, and all the other people who are involved in that organization? How can they balance it?
See, I have worked in two promoter-led organizations. Both these organizations were different in a way that while there was a lineage and there was the next generation taking over, like the Mahindra Group, but there what I noticed was the professionalism. The professionalism that these leaders demonstrate, really they walk the talk. And they also come with a background where possibly their education, their upbringing, the core values that they have imbibed all reflect in the way the board is presented to the other professionals who are in the board, like independent directors. So the value proposition that both independent directors and promoter-led directors bring to the table really add to the shareholder value of that organization.
In your experience, how these global organizations build a strong purpose-driven boards and also at the same time have a great combination of governance and excellence. Now in India, how do you see that they can learn from these global organizations?
So there are two parts to it. One is you have to look at India and how Indian companies have become global. The second part is you see global companies who have now established in India or they've acquired companies in India.
Right.
I have been open to seeing board proceedings of both kinds of companies.
Kind of organizations. Okay.
Let me take the example of Indian companies with a global mindset. What are the core values? The core values always are stemmed from what the family values that we learn as Indians, right?
Right.
And then they imbibe the corporate values to it. For them, their vision, their mission is very important. But today, all these organizations look at a core purpose. They've moved to a core purpose. Initially, for Mahindras, the core purpose was Indians are second to none, because at the time they had not yet gone global, but they had the power to do that. So when they went there and they started operations all over the world, then this core purpose was not sounding real for the other global citizens of the organization. You can imagine what Hua in China would relate to if he had been part of the Mahindra group. So then we started doing an exercise to refresh, and that's where the brand value comes in, that you augment your brand, because that's when you realize that what will resonate with all your stakeholders.
Correct.
In any geography of the world. And I think that is something which is a great learning for me at the Mahindra Group, how they refreshed their brand, how did they bring their uplifting credo of RISE. So everybody resonated with RISE, all stakeholders, customers, employees, vendors, even the families. They said it's so uplifting. So they found that to be a very good way to look at a shared value proposition, which means you're co-creating your destiny. And so all the products that Mahindra brings, you feel that you own it.
Actually.
You've been part of that journey. So that's one part of it. Having worked with a very large organization, which is one of the oldest in Belgium, that's over 100 years old. Their own headquarters are in one of the old palaces, castles over there. So they have a lot of lineage there. They have a lot of their own value system, and they would like to understand how they can integrate that with us. So the promoter executive directors, they are open to learn. Two things. One, they are very open to learn regulatory requirements of India, the compliance requirements of India, because they are the largest shareholder of a listed entity.
Right.
They learn from the board a lot of these regulatory requirements. At the same time, they have a foundation there. Now that foundation looks at certain areas of social impact. Now, does that resonate with the Indian context? They are willing to learn. They're willing to adapt. That's when I came in and I said that your brand value in India, while it reflects a global organization, you can think global but act local. So I think they did that very effectively, but they wanted that their brand is their own, the owner who started that brand many years back, so they changed the name of the company that they acquired, and today it's part of the original Belgian company with the same brand, which is called John Cockerell India.
Okay.
The man who started that company, it was first a locomotive company. Okay. From then on, it went on to many other sectors. Today, they are into the steel sector. Now, steel sector in India has possibly a different way to operate. The board over here is very forward-looking. They have the best of Indian customers, the largest of Indian customers like the Tatas of Tata Steel and all of them. They supply to them, the Jindal. Each one of their customers are very happy that what John Cockerell does is gets into their culture and makes sure that they teach them the best practices, the global best practices on health, safety and environment. They bring in that. So the Indian companies are very pleased with the fact that that is non-negotiable.
Correct. Thank you so much. Now, having said that this entire board and governance and such kind of things happening in India, which is a new surge right now. Right now, we are looking for a lot of people for being a director. Now, platforms like MMB, what do you think that they can contribute to this kind of creating that kind of great leaders or great people who are well aware of the governance and they bring excellence to the boards?
I think organizations like MMB or many others like, which are now prevalent, they do a good job of training these young leaders. They show them the way a board process has to be driven, what are the attributes that they must have or cultivate, what is the skill sets they must have, and how they should be looking at creating shareholder value. Now, those may be not the core areas of strength of young leaders who are wanting to come on the board, or even women leaders who want to come on the board. For women leaders, there's an unconscious bias also. We have to address that as well.
Correct.
So, I think they are doing a great job to create that connect between a company and the aspiring directors to be able to fit them in the organization seamlessly.
Right.
So if they have to come on the board, they've already been exposed to a kind of training by other independent directors, so they get on-the-job training. They understand what the Ministry of Corporate Affairs wants them to do. They have to take an online exam and they have to be ready to get their director's ID. I think all these are various parameters which will only make the system more robust, because today the board's responsibility is far greater than what was in the past.
Correct.
And today the boards have to be very vigilant.
Yes, absolutely.
And I think in that context, MMB is doing a wonderful job to train these people, to give them that exposure, to bring them into a network of directors and organizations, make them meet and understand what the company requires out of them, what does the regulator require out of them. So I think all these are aspects that MMB is doing very well, and I think that as they go on, they will gain that experience from more directors who are the new ones who are getting into the system, and what are their learnings. So it's a two-way street.
Correct, correct. So there is people who have already learned and they are mentoring, and there are new people entering. So it's a huge amount of community which is being created for networking, as well as obviously you grow together.
Absolutely.
So that's how
it's a power of collaboration.
Actually.
And with this, you increase your circle of influence. I've always told young leaders, increase your circle of influence, because when you do it in the early days of your leadership career, you may not become a director or become a director, but you have all the leadership values to be an independent director in any organization.
Correct.
Irrespective of the function that you held in the past.
Correct.
And you have to become a business manager. You just can't be focused on the function that you held for that many years. If you're a business manager, then you can add value collectively with your other board members and be able to drive the strategy and the vision of that organization. I think that's very important, where some people fail to understand that, oh, this is my core competence, this is what I'll bring. Yes, you'll bring that.
Correct.
You are brought in for that. But unless you understand the business of the organization, you will not be able to contribute effectively and how your role is being played into that board deliberations. I think that's the learning even I had when I came in, and I said, first thing, I must understand the business. Otherwise, even my contribution of creating your brand value or your ESG strategy, your CSR focus, and I think in these global organizations, they like to look at community where they operate, and they like to give to that community where they operate, which is very good.
Correct, correct. Okay, with your experience when dealing with so much of brand building and other organizations and building that strategy for them, what do you think that today India has got the position in the global arena? Like, what is your take on that?
Well, there are two sides of it. One is what the corporate sector positions themselves, and what is the government positioning itself. I think both of them have created the brand proposition of India being an economic superpower today. Also understand that India has a very large population of youth. The next generation, which is going to be really back into the corporate world, is a very savvy, technology savvy individual.
Kind of people, yes.
Yeah. But what they are missing out is on the human connections. So what they are doing is, if you see, they are taking less time on technology and on their tablets. They are stepping out they're meeting people, they're creating human connections to understand what the world requires, what are the new areas of sectors that they can contribute. Today, there are jobs which never existed in the past.
True.
One would have never heard of certain jobs. Look at the healthcare, how it has expanded. Did we think that that's going to be a very significant sector? No, it was earlier led by the government and government hospitals and things like that. Today it has become wellness, it has extended into different areas and subsets of healthcare.
Correct.
That's a great example. So what I'm trying to say is that all the way India has positioned. Look at sports. Now, sports is another place where India is well positioned itself,
Yes,
not
absolutely.
just in cricket. Look at the Paralympics that our government is propositioning. They want it to be held in India. Now, India is becoming now such a power, not only at the economic front, but also helping disability sport.
Absolutely.
Now, that is something which is very close to my heart. And that is why I decided to do my bit for disability sport, while CSR is done for skilling, for women empowerment, education. All of that is very relevant. But a neglected area was disability sport. And I said, that's a challenge for me. So that's when I got involved with sports like the deaf cricket for the hearing impaired. And it has really made me feel very fulfilled when I bring them into society and I give them a voice
Absolutely.
in their world of silence.
They are brought into the mainstream.
Absolutely. And especially a lot of women. And they are women from backgrounds where they're just mere housewives, but they're athletes. And they have trained themselves as athletes. And they have that can-do spirit. So I want to make sure that as many such, so we created an association called the Indian Deaf Cricket Association, where 20 states participate. And the hearing impaired get an opportunity to learn, train, and also participate in national championships, to participate in international championships. We've got 3 teams, under 19, women's, men's. I'm getting ready for an international tournament in Delhi where we've invited Cricket Australia, we've invited the South African team. I'm going forward to 14 teams, women's teams, who are going to play in Lucknow in April. So these are very important activities to create India as a sports country.
Correct.
Not just in mainstream sports, but in all
these
disability sport as well.
As well.
And for me, I've seen the Prime Minister looking at sign language, and he himself is talking about that should become the second language. And if you saw recently, the IPL also had this sign language being given for
As
the
a commentator,
commentary. So I think these are all steps to see how India can show that they can contribute to the world economy.
Absolutely.
It earlier was the Western world. Today we demonstrate that capability, that we are not just a knowledge economy, we are also an economy which has got all the innovation and new technologies which we can leverage as Digital India.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because today the developing nations are actually giving a real tough time to all the developed nations. They are giving a lot of things in their economy. They have really tried to create a FOMO for those guys. I can just see that.
Earlier it was just China. Now it's India.
Yeah.
And we know who our competition is. And I don't think we will step back anymore. We are out there. We are proud to be Indians, and we are proud to do what we are doing in the world stage.
Absolutely, that is absolutely true, ma'am. Thank you so much for your time, Roma ma'am. It was really wonderful, and your insights were really touching the heart, actually. You can see, being a mentor, it is very evident that you're able to give a simplified way of how you can express complicated things.
I always say that for me also it's a learn, unlearn, relearn, because I learn from everybody as well, and I need to keep up with the times.
Correct.
It's very important for me as well.
That is
so
true.
thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It was wonderful talking to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.